As most of us know, or should know, that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. All the major league sports participate in underscoring this, and nationally there's vigils held all over the place, and of course locally this year the vigil that was held in Cornwall again. With us on the line right now from Women's Sports Services in Sharon is Virginia Gold, who is a program manager there. Virginia, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Marshall.
So the vigil is always an impressive sight to see, not only for the sheer dramatic effect of seeing so many people, but also what the vigil stands for. Not only is to publicize domestic violence, but you honor people that have lost their lives or been affected by domestic violence.
Yes, and this year we remembered 15 people who had lost their lives specifically to intimate partner violence in the state of Connecticut.
And as I say, I've been doing this a long time now. So I'm 65, and I can remember when we first started the radio station back in 1986, the winter of '86. Your services have grown over the years, where I think that there's still a lot of people out there think that you just deal with one form of domestic violence, but really you have spanned out and added other programs that have really expanded what you do.
Yes, we have a three-part mission. The first is obviously to respond to whatever crisis is happening for people in the moment. In the last year, we responded to 763 hotline and crisis needs of people who were already in crisis and needed help and support figuring it out. And that, again, is free and confidential to any man, woman, or child who calls us or walks in our office. But we also believe that we have a responsibility to help prevent future generations from being in relationships that are violent. So we do primary prevention work in the schools, and we do a number of community education and outreach efforts with local providers and adults and folks in the community to help make sure that this entire region can take ownership of wanting to be a safe place for everyone.
The way things have changed that I view it, especially for services that you provide, is that it's no longer man on woman or even woman on man, but you have transgender issues to deal with. You have homosexual issues to deal with. I mean, the whole scope and with the breadth of how you deal with things and the knowledge of way you have to deal with things really has exploded, especially over the past, I'll say, 7 or 8 years.
Yes, I think that the awareness that intimate partner relationships have many different levels of vulnerability. We also do outreach specifically to immigrant populations because that adds another level of power and control in a dynamic. If someone is legal or illegally in the country and is worried about that. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered relationships, as you say, there's another layer of power and control there depending upon people's comfort level with their public and private personas. And there are a lot of ways in which we try to make sure people are safe in whatever their situation.
Now, as and you mentioned this earlier, dealing with I won't say kids, I'm going to say students in school. Do you feel that by dealing with students in school, I would think that is one of the most important things that you have right now for the long term. So youngsters who are students in schools, where they have the ability to really understand that this violence just isn't acceptable, and hopefully in future years it'll diminish your need for what you have to do.
That would be wonderful, yes. And so we actually have a very active volunteer program, and many of those volunteers go into early primary education grades and read books and have conversations with kids around just the basics of feelings and controlling your body and respecting other people and boundaries. By middle school, we're having more explicit conversations about boundaries and how important those are and that we have to respect other people's. And then by high school, we're having more focused conversations on dating and consent and cyber safety and the role of all of the various pressures in this modern world on intimate relationships and helping teens really figure out who do they want to be with another person.
We are speaking with Virginia Gold, a program manager at Women's Support Services in Sharon, Connecticut. And I think support groups that you offer and community education really have been effective in this area because you have the unique ability in this area almost to be one-on-one.
Yeah, we are very lucky in that Region 1 has a whole host of civic and religious and public organizations that do some amazing work and really want to have conversations about how they can contribute to lessening the violence in our community on a number of different ways. So we've been able to have some really good dialogues, yeah.
Now also,
and then we have support groups as well.
One of the other things that you do offer, and this would be on a real emergency and effect, is that you do offer short-term shelter and privacy and support for people that are in an imminent danger.
Absolutely. All of our services are confidential and free, and we can shelter people for short term while they figure out how to handle an immediate crisis. We also support people in the court system when that becomes an issue. We have a very close relationship with Troop B and with the Torrington courts to make sure that victims get the best support possible as they navigate that. And our shelter services are able to then hook people up with longer term solutions.
And the hotline number for people that, for people, now this hotline isn't probably, I'm going to take a guess here and you can fill me in on this. Yes, it's for people that are actually feeling the effects of domestic violence, but if someone in a family feels that someone in their family is being affected, they also can use that hotline as well, right?
Absolutely, Marshall. We would actually prefer to be able to consult with someone who's not in crisis. It's easier to make some safety planning that way for themselves or for someone else. But yes, 860-364-1900 is our 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week hotline. It is, again, free and confidential. You speak with one of our advocates, and we have people who call up all the time and say, I'm worried about my friend or my sister, or I have a question about myself. I don't really know if this is the right number to call, and our job is to help people assess their own situation and get the best answers and referrals they can.
Now, while we're talking, I'll give your website out, wssdv.org. That is wssdv.org. There's a lot of information there. And by the way, I like the way that you give instructions on the website. If somebody goes to it, they can immediately take it off, so people who might be monitoring their computer won't see that.
Yes, safety is our first priority for anybody who contacts us.
All right, now I'm going to ask you a question about yourself personally. How did you get into this field? Is this something that you trained and wanted to get into, or you kind of shifted into?
I'm a social worker by training, and so I've worked with families in a number of different settings on a number of different issues over the years. I've done child protection and community mental health and hospice, and when the position for program manager opened at WES, I knew they did really good work, and I really wanted to work with families on a local level. I'm from Cornwall. I really love being embedded in the community that I live in.
And what's great about Women's Support Services locally is really how it's grown and the support that you get from the community. I mean, it goes to Trade Secrets, which is one of the big fundraisers for you, but also you need volunteers to operate your hotline and train and do other work for you.
Absolutely. We are really lucky. I think this Region 1 area, that's the total area we cover, is an amazing community. People really care about each other. They care about their community, and we have phenomenal volunteers, and we have phenomenal partnerships with the schools and the other service providers in this area.
All right. Well, all I can say is the work that you do from young to old, men to women, transgender, whatever, really is essential. And financial support and volunteer support is essential for you to continue doing what you're doing, is it not?
Absolutely. Anybody who is interested in either volunteering their time or making a donation of items or a car. We try to have cars to provide with clients when they are in crisis. That's one of the things that's really necessary in this area. Or who have a question about how to get involved in other ways. We've got lots of ways people can get involved.
And that main number, once again, is 860-364-1080?
That is our office number, yep.
And the hotline number again?
860-364-1900.
Well, thank you for taking a few minutes and joining us today.
Thank you so much, Marshall. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.